Afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. This is a meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Is there a motion to call the meeting to order?
So moved.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
This meeting will be audio and video recorded. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, first thing on the agenda, we have a poll hearing. Is there a motion to open the public hearing for Verizon New England, Inc. and NStar Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy? Request permission to relocate poles, wires, cables, fixtures, including the necessary anchors, guys, and other sustaining and protecting fixtures to be owned and used in common by your petitioners along and across the following public way or ways: Main Street. Place one jointly owned pole numbered T.120/103/E.120/103 on the southeast side of Main Street at a point approximately 36 feet northeast from the existing pole numbered T.120/103/E.120/103. The replaced pole will more particularly be located approximately 20 feet northeast of the intersection of Main Street and Evergreen Drive. This work is required to provide for the distribution of intelligence and telecommunications and the transmission of high and low voltage electric current. Is there a motion to call the hearing to order? Or open the public hearing?
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, you're up.
Okay. Want me here?
Yes, please. Introduce yourself,
Sure.
say who you're representing, and just give us a repeat of where the pole is located.
Sure. My name is Michael Wallengevich. I work for a company called Network Building Consulting. I am representing Verizon for this poll. Anthony from Eversource just contacted me. He is stuck. He's not going to make it on time, so it just got me.
No worries.
The pole is located in front of Scuttlebutts, located at 590 Main Street. And if anybody's familiar with the area and you park in that parking lot, it's your number one bumper to bump into with your vehicle. I stopped by the facility before I stopped by here, and I took some measurements. The pole is located 33 feet 5 inches from the balusters were in front of the parking. So anybody driving a vehicle, your average sedan in Massachusetts is 16 feet long. Your average pickup truck is just over 20 feet long. Do the math, that leaves you 15 feet for a truck to back up and try to avoid it. I did print out and take some satellite views to kind of give you a description of where the said pole. I did make copies for.
Sure, yeah, we'll take them.
The top page was submitted from Verizon. I kind of took it upon myself to give you some photographic views of it as well. But this is for safety. I stopped by the store, and the person working had she put on the owner of the company, Gary Hathaway, I think it was. He said he actually had applied to have this pole removed as well and moved over because it gets hit daily.
Yeah.
So, it has 3 transformers on it. I would hate for that to really be nailed and fall down and obviously hurt somebody.
Yeah. Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Kelly, do I need to close the poll hearing? A motion to close the poll hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we got some meeting minutes. Mr. Warner, I don't know if you read them. I did run through them. They looked pretty good to me.
Yep. Motion to approve?
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right. New business. First order of new business. Hand this over to Mr. Kelly because both the moderator and town clerk could not make it. You said town meeting and election, review of matters presented, votes may be taken. Is that just to update us on our schedule, Mr. Kelly?
And I want to be on the next agenda for discussion and vote on setting town meeting. Just to give the methodology that was used by the staff, myself, town clerk, and the town moderator, we started from the fact that the town election is April 22nd.
Mhm.
Also, Patrick McIntyre, the school business agent, business manager, was at the meeting. So knowing that there very likely could be a debt exclusion on the ballot, and town meeting has to be within a time frame, a block of time either side of election, we discussed it, and looking at from town meeting to warrant postings, or warrant publishing in the newspaper, warrant review with council, and then some of the issues presented as far as meetings on both the school budget and the debt exclusion. This is a recommended timeline.
Sure.
So the board does know, the town administrator and department managers have had meetings already on the FY26 budgets. I'd say over 50%, maybe 65% are no change except for mandated collective bargaining increases. The preliminary revenue estimates we'll discuss tonight. So I think it's a fairly tight schedule because of the fact we have to operate under the assumption that there'll be a debt exclusion on the warrant, and we have to do everything within a certain time frame on either side. But I think it's very doable to have May 19 as the town meeting date, or some date similar. Maybe the week after that, but that also gives the town clerk time to finalize all the paperwork on the town election.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that is a fairly busy schedule, but I think we can pull that off, no problem. Especially, you said almost 65% of the budgets.
Of the town budgets.
Yeah, okay.
I think the DPW, police, fire budgets are issues that you're going to have to look at. There's always the library budget, making sure it's within the state parameters. But it's the school budget and it's the Old Colony budget. Aaron Polanski and I had text messages back and forth this weekend on some issues, and we were supposed to meet on the 28th, but he has moved it to another date, right, Sydney?
Yeah, so it's going to be, I believe, the 30th at
Okay.
noon or so.
So we'll be having some informational meetings where we will inform him of our issues with a restricted revenue, and he can start to, when he puts his budget together, look at it. And he will talk about the fact we're having a debt exclusion for Acushnet schools, possibly this election cycle. And down the road, there could be a debt exclusion and an election down the road for Old Colony.
Gotcha. Pretty good. All right. Do me a favor if you can, Mr. Kelly, just because Patrick's probably not super familiar with the process. If he reaches out, I just don't want to set him up for failure. So I think we've had this discussion already. He already dealt with Kelly and the assessors to get some values. But if there needs to be a meeting set up between you, him, and Pam about the ballot, and if she needs any particular information and vice versa, just to make sure Patrick gets all his info in on time.
We set up a process where his attorney and our attorney and bond counsel, if there's any borrowing involved, and we assume there will be, will all be conferring, and he will get us the language from the state or the consultant that is mandated because of the grants coming from the Department of Energy.
Perfect. All right. Excellent. All right. All right, no votes for that. Next up, Acushnet River Valley Golf Course. Some topics here. First one, we have to appoint somebody to the actual Golf Advisory and Operational Committee. We did get a couple of letters of interest in. This is to fill an open seat.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Look, we've got a lot of talented people who put their name forward. I think for this management seat, we have Mr. Dave DeRoche, who was a former selectman, is also interested in serving on the Golf Facilities Committee, as well as Adam Heavey, who was the former golf pro at Acushnet River Valley. I remember hiring Adam, great guy, really involved in golf operations and day-to-day stuff, knows it inside and out. That's what we went to college for. So I would ask that we appoint Mr. Heavey to the Golf Management Committee, but then advance Mr. DeRoche for the Golf Facilities Committee.
Yeah.
So with that, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Adam Heavey to the Golf Advisory, Golf, what do we call it? The
Golf,
Acushnet River
yeah.
Golf Advisory Committee.
Golf Advisory and Management Committee.
Management
You
Committee,
know what we
that's
say.
right, yeah.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Sydney, if you can get Mr. Heavey his appointment letter, and we'll get him set up, and so we can get him right in action.
So, got a question for you. When we send their welcome packet or their appointment letter, are we putting it in snail mail?
We
Is
do.
that the law? We have to do it that way, or can we email out a PDF and they print it up and then go to the town clerk? I'm just trying to think of ways that we can be much more efficient with this stuff.
So we create an appointment slip in our office, and we fill out the person who's appointed, their name, address, and then we send that to Pam's office so he can get sworn in, or whoever is appointed. But then we send them a congratulations letter in the mail.
All right. If
I
we could just
guess it's
email
more
it.
formal. I could give him a call, and just
Yeah.
let him know to set up an appointment with Pam to get sworn in.
Stick the letter in the mail that they can put on their refrigerator, but then email them to let them know that this is moving. They don't have to just wait in the,
Okay,
for the letter to come.
sounds good.
That'd be good. Thank you.
All right. All right, next on the golf course agenda, the Golf Course Building Exploratory Subcommittee. We have a slew of letters of interest here.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I'm more than happy to speak to this. I see Mr. Flynn, who's the chair of the Golf Management Committee, and while you're here, I want to say this to you publicly, as I've said privately. The rationale behind developing this advisory committee, this facility, exploratory committee rather, was to a couple things. One is to tap into the talent that we have in town, the people who are interested in the golf course and the golf facility. By no means is it meant to be a slap in the face to the Golf Advisory Committee or any member on that committee. Really, it's to essentially empower you more and also empower the board. I just felt like we got to make sure that this thing is vetted multiple times, right? And creating a separate committee with, with leadership of the Golf Management Committee, helping this exploratory committee move the process along. Dana and Steve will be part of the process. If you have comments, part of the process, to then come up with recommendations to the Golf Advisory Committee, which will then have say in the matter, ultimately coming back to the Board of Selectmen for another review, and then going to town meeting. And then and the point is to have as many voices as possible in the process. So when we go to town meeting and we're presenting to the taxpayer a plan, it's not just, well, this is what the Board of Selectmen wanted, that was a done deal. Or that's the Golf Advisory Committee, we know that that's a done deal. It was to provide as much insight and as much input as possible to go to our stakeholders, our shareholders, the taxpayer. So that was the rationale. I understand some people might have been offended by that. I apologize, but that wasn't my intention. I think we're all adults and we can all handle, you know, at the end of the day, I feel it's my fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayer on putting together a plan that will come up with a you know, multiple solutions for our consideration. So never my intention to hurt people's feelings. That's not how I try to do things. So anyway.
Agreed.
So with that, I don't know, Dave, if you have any comments on that at all, or? Yeah.
No, I mean, I welcome people who are interested in seeing a good product being built for the town. You know, and I just want to see if the course continue to be successful.
I have no doubt, because when I start reading off the qualifications of the members who have of the people from the community who have stepped forward, I think it's really impressive, and I'm thrilled about it. And as I've said, you know, I sent out a mission statement for draft, and then, you know, it's going to be compressed. We're looking for 90 to 120 days, which I think should give everybody enough time. You guys hired the architect, so Dave, I would ask that you and Mr. Aberay, you know, when this committee is formed and met, that you help, you know, you facilitate that process and let these members cook. You're going to be part of this from the beginning. So, with that said, Mr. Chairman, we talked about 7 members.
Correct.
We had 9 submit applications. 1 member is going to be appointed to the Finance Committee later on, so I feel like that's okay there. And the other one, as much as I'd like to have him serve, he does serve the town in another capacity, and we'll have plenty of opportunity to comment, you know, during the construction phase and so on and so forth. So with that said, I'd like to advance the names of, and if you can just permit me just to kind of read their backgrounds.
Sure.
Not to go overboard, but first candidate is Mr. Richard DiPrato, who has 35 years of golf experience working at Acushnet company. I think what's most impressive is that he oversees the research and development team at Manchester Lane, but most recently he managed a $14 million capital project that included the construction of a new maintenance facility and the development of a Titleist Performance Center. I've had an opportunity, I think we've all gone down there to check that building out. It's absolutely incredible, and for Rich to be able to donate his time and his insight after managing a $14 million capital project for a publicly traded company, that's a gift for us to be able to tap into. So that's Richard DiPrato. Next, Mr. Jeff Fabian, who is serving as one of our building inspectors in town, has been in the business of construction for over 20 years, is an avid golfer, has been at the golf course, works, you know, his family has hosted charitable events at the golf course, so he understands the wants and needs of people who are doing events there. So Jeff Fabian, another great candidate. Doug Corrigan has been involved with the town. He's a licensed electrician. He's been around building facilities, and he understands all of that and is an avid golfer. Another great candidate, Wayne Lavasser. Not only is an avid golfer, but has served as a clerk of the works for many construction projects. He owns his own construction he's a construction supervisor. He owns his own property adjusting company, so he's in the insurance business, so he's going to have some insight there that we can tap into. Another gentleman, John Roy. We all know John Roy. He's been around building projects in town. He was part of a team that got the additions and renovations done at the Acushnet River Valley, at the Acushnet Elementary School. So John's been there, done that on public properties and public projects, understands procurement, all of those things that go in there. So I think John Roy would be fantastic. The next candidate is, we've got Adam DeSamaris. Adam is a resident of Acushnet, 40 years old. He worked at the New Bedford Country Club in their operations. He worked there for 10 years. So he has an understanding of how things work. And then the aforementioned Dave DeRoche, who served as a member of the Board of Selectmen, avid golfer, runs his own business. So I think we've got a really good core of people who can help. But these are going to be public meetings, and there should be a workshop, you know, an opportunity for people from the public to comment and, you know, see how this should go down. So I'd like to, I don't know if you have any questions, but advance those names, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no,
to serve on this committee.
I've reviewed this and I agree. I've spoken to pretty much everybody that you just mentioned, not everybody, but everybody's really excited to see some progress, and they're really excited to participate in the town. And just to piggyback on what you said earlier, getting more people involved regardless of the capacity in this town has been something I've been trying to do for 2 years, and I think any step you can take to get people involved is great, and every single person that you just mentioned loves the game of golf, and I think would be a great asset to our community, and I think I couldn't agree more with the cast list that we just got.
Okay, so with that, make a motion to appoint Richard DiPrato, Jeff Fabian, Doug Corrigan, Wayne Lavassa, John Roy, Adam Dismaris, and Dave DeRoche.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There's a couple things too, though. It's gonna need, I think this committee is going to need some administrative support.
Yep.
Because there's a lot going into of collecting records and, things of that nature. So we don't have to make a decision on that now, but I think it's something worth talking about. Like the finance committee, they have their own dedicated clerk who, keeps all the information together, and the planning board and the conservation commission. I think this committee is going to need that level of support.
Sure.
For, it's a short time frame, so something that we'll want to think about. And again, people from the public are welcome to attend these meetings and provide input and, be part of that process.
Absolutely.
So if we can get these folks notified, and then maybe get them on either when's the golf course committee meeting again?
The next one is this Thursday.
This Thursday, so it might be
A little too tight for that,
be
probably.
tight. Yeah, today's
Yeah.
Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, Dave, what we could do is, Mr. Chairman, we could schedule a joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen and the Golf Management Committee to meet with these members and kind of give them their charge.
Yep.
And, it doesn't have to be at a selectmen's meeting, we can do it at a separate evening and just to make it the focus of that.
Sure.
There's also going to be tentatively, depending on the agenda, there is at least 2, maybe 3 items concerning golf on the February 4th meeting.
Okay, good to know.
Okay. I guess that's right around the corner too,
Yeah.
but if we want to get moving soon, we can,
Yeah,
at the decision of the chair. So what time's the meeting Thursday?
4:30.
4:30 at the golf course, or where is it?
Yeah.
Here. All right, Mr. Chairman, if it's all right with you, I'm happy to stop by that meeting
sure.
and just kind of on behalf of the board, share with them what I shared with you, but in person, and welcome some of the new committee members, and I'm happy to do that with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's fine with me.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks. Excellent.
All right. Next up, revenue review. Mr. Kelly, I see.
I put a sheet in front of you so you didn't have to grab out of the book and move your book all around because of the way the Excel sheets
Sure.
are printed. The sheet in front of you shows the not only the FY '24 actuals, the FY '25 estimates, which are what we base the FY '25 budget on, but the pending actuals right now as far as our collections go. Also, it shows some back FY '22, FY '23, so you can get an idea of what's going on. State revenue predictions are, the state is saying that their revenue will increase right now. They're looking at 2.2%. As you know, the tax levy has the Proposition 2.5 limits, plus new growth, plus any debt exclusions. It comes in somewhere around 3% increase a year. Your local receipts depend on the economy year to year. I'm not a Pollyanna where I'll say that it's going to be a good year or it's going to be a terrible year, but the major parts of the local receipts, I keep estimates at 80% just so we have a cushion. The problem in the expansion of your revenue is what you get from the state. State aid increases anywhere from 0.5% to 1.5%. It doesn't keep pace with inflation. And it doesn't keep pace with any of the other aspects of revenue. You also have some other revenue available for appropriation. I want to caution you, last year we used excess levy capacity. That's not there. If you look at my comparison between FY26 estimates and FY25 estimates, it only increased approximately $500,000. Usually your increase is $700,000 to $800,000. So this is going to be a very tight budget year.
Yep.
You're looking at predicted increases in health insurance of 9.5% and regular insurance 6.5%. So anybody who comes in with a budget that is over 2.5% is really pushing the envelope.
Yep.
I'd be glad to answer any questions as far as individual lines. The veterans benefits are highlighted because the new veterans agent, and I discussed his budget already. He is increasing the veterans benefits that he thinks will be, and that's that the town will be appropriating, but that's something that we get a large percentage back from the state.
Sure.
The yellow highlighted items are items of concern.
New growth down.
The meals tax, we have for the first time, the first quarterly payment that came in was just a little over $6,000. So I conservatively put an annual figure of $20,000, but that could move up as we see what's going on over the next quarters. The other issue is the treasurer collector and I are looking at the common vic licensing versus the Board of Health inspections versus state records for who's providing meals. And then we'll make sure that no one falls through the cracks.
Gotcha. Charges for water really catches my eye here.
Charges for services, water, we had an estimate in FY24 that was too high. The actual came in lower. Part of that is because we didn't fill positions because of finding people with licenses. So the charges we were charging were less, but since it impacts our revenue, there's an issue with DOR with it. Our FY25 estimates increased, as you can see, but that was because of the price increase from New Bedford.
Okay.
I'm still worried about that figure in light of what happened in '24 and the fact we still are having issues trying to find people with appropriate licenses.
Gotcha. All right, well, best we can do is just keep an eye on it and
Mhm.
communicate with the DPW to make sure they're still looking and we figure out what to do with it.
Mhm.
All right. Mr. Warren, got any questions?
No, it's gonna be a rough go of it.
Yep. Put our head down and move forward. All right. Next on the agenda, Town Administrator Search. We got a couple things here, job description and the town charter bylaws concerning town administrator. Mr. Warren asked for this to be on the agenda. I agreed, because I think it's time to start this as soon as possible. I know we had a hectic end of the calendar year, but we definitely gotta jump into this. So we have a decent amount of comparisons for job descriptions here. Without a full board here, I wouldn't wanna speak on
Yeah,
any
of course.
of the actual details, pays, and anything like that. But I agree with the sentiment of putting it on here so we can get working on this. And we'll all have copies of this. I think the best bet is to go through, pick and choose what we think is important to put in the job description, and we can go from there.
Yeah, one question I do have for the board to consider, and we didn't do it the last time with Mr. Kelly because we were somewhat in a compressed time frame, so the board had to move pretty quickly, but, and again, I can't speak to what went on with Julie Hebert. That was an internal promotion, I think, with Brian Noble. But the last time we had a town administrator departing that we knew about well in advance, this goes back to Alan Catino, we did put in a search committee. I mean, at the time, we did hire a firm to facilitate, because we had never done it before. I don't know if we need to incur that expense, but other towns have done that. But I do think it's worth discussing, putting together a committee to vet the candidates before they come before the Board of Selectmen.
Sure.
And that is customary in other towns. I mean, I do think, again, keeping in the spirit of having input before it gets to the board. I think in this case, Mr. Kelly's done a fantastic job, so I think we got lucky not having that process, going through that process, but it's something that we might want to consider, the rationale behind that. I don't think it has to be a 15-person board, right? But like, I think we understand, key stakeholders.
Yeah. I think somebody from FinCom would be good.
Yeah, something along those lines, and if it's again, I think if we go that route, not having a member of the Board of Selectmen on there, because you can't have.
Correct.
You can't vote on it twice. You shouldn't be voting on it twice, right? So, anyway, just something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been through it before, so that's why I feel that way. But let's see how it goes.
Go, yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Kelly.
when you hired me, I made a commitment, or when the town hired me, I made a commitment to that board because I let my intentions be known that this was going to be my last job.
Sure.
And I also let that board know that I am a resource, that I will be able to help them in the search. As you can see, a number of the job descriptions are from towns that I've actually held the position. And I have access to the MMA salary studies, so I can actually help you with that too. I am active in the MMA, which is a managers association, so I am familiar with not only a number of the people there, but I'm also familiar with a number of the folks that are assistants or hold other positions that are presently going through the Suffolk program as far as town administrator training. And I can have the people who run that program come and make a presentation to the board or to your search committee or any of that type of thing, if the board so desires.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Warner?
through you, Jamie, are there any models out there where the town administrator, it was a town administrator slash finance director, or is there like, or is it mass law, you have to have two separate positions?
There are very few. The typical one is to have a finance director slash assistant town administrator, where your finance director will be there if the town administrator is has an issue and cannot serve, or is out of town for a week.
Just, the reason why I'm asking, Mr. Chairman, is, because here's the thing, I look at the town of Acushnet, is I think we've got to somehow break the cycle of Acushnet being a feeder system for the next job for somebody, right? Because we're like, so we got to look at salary, we look at job description, we got to look at, making it intellectually curious enough for somebody. And I think the trend lines, and how I'm starting to feel about some of these big positions is, I'd rather pay less people more money to keep them than a bunch of people less money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if there's an opportunity to combine a town administrator and director of finance into one position, consolidate, pay that position more money, but still less than two combined or three combined. You know what I mean? That's just where I'm feeling right now, is because I think a town like Acushnet, we always run the risk of having instability, somebody coming in, getting their feet wet, and then going off to the bigger, better thing.
Yep.
And, we were lucky with Catino. For 17 years he did it, first one ever, and that was why things were running well. We had Jamie come in, who's a seasoned vet, kind of stabilize things after a few years of
Unstable.
Instability. So I think that's what we have to guard against, and we have to find that candidate who's not coming to Acushnet for a stepping stone. So I use the sports analogy. It's like, when you hire the hot offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, they're going to go try to get the head coaching job somewhere. So you want to bring somebody in who will fit in and look to stay here for as long as they can. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I right now, I'm open to pretty much any idea. I think the more ideas you have, the better. We narrow it down, we find a bigger pool of candidates.
And we tweak the bylaw to
Or-
see
or
what,
more
what
focused.
shakes out too, right? So.
Yeah, what I would like to do is I would say, maybe next meeting, throw this on an executive session so we can discuss salaries and stuff like that, so we can really get down. Mr. Souza?
Dave, sitting there listening to that, I really think as a resident, that is a real good idea. There's no reason to pay 4 guys if you can pay 2 guys more.
Women or whatever.
I really think that is an awesome idea. When I worked, my boss, instead of putting a project manager on the job with me, he raised my salary a little bit and let me the project manager and superintendent on the job. Saved the company a lot of money, gave me a little extra, and made me do a little more work. But what you just said, I really believe in that as a resident.
Just going to do something. So.
Yeah, cool. All right.
I mean, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
like, if we can say that our goal should be to post by March 1st, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Whether it's, I don't know that we need to go any sooner than that, but if when's your last day?
June 30th.
June
So if you look at June 30th, if you work back from there, if you get it out there, March 1st, you keep resumes until, third week of March, then you start doing interviews, April, May, and then look for an appointment in June, and then you've got 30 days of some overlap and some training.
Yeah.
Like that would be the calendar if I could map it out.
Yeah, and by all means, if we can get this narrowed down before that, I would even like to post it
Sure.
earlier than that, too.
Right, but I just,
Yeah.
so it's not hanging out there, at least we've
It's
got
a deadline.
We've got something that we can shoot for.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
move on it.
Once you frame the job description, basically, that's that's your posting.
Yep.
And that's what people are gonna be looking at because of how the charter affects the powers of the town administrator.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Well, all right. Also, town charter bylaws concerning town administrator. Mr. Kelly, is that just the update? in
Yeah,
regards
that,
to the-
well, that, I wanted to give you all of the paper that you would need to start the process,
Sure.
whether it's the town charter and how the town administrator's referenced in there and his powers, any bylaws we could find affecting that, and then the latest article that was approved and sent on to the state for approval.
Those bills, I think you talked to Mark Sylvia, I talked to him as well. Those bills have been, he introduced that bill in the House, so
Excellent.
it's in the
Process.
it's in the
In
process.
the process. All right, that's all we can ask for. All right.
Those usually, like with a new legislative session and with new stuff, unfortunately, those things usually are like at the end of the year type of deal, or
Yeah.
at the end of the budget, like the end of the budget process for them, but, it's just how it goes.
Yep. All right. Health insurance, notice letter. Mr. Kelly,
And Mr. Chairman, I've discussed with the board members the agreement for the Mass Strategic Health Group has a rollover and withdrawal provisions to protect the town. We gave our initial notice as our intent, and I would ask that we go further and vote the motion that's before you. It doesn't mean that we are going to change things. It also doesn't mean that things will change, other than between now and June 30th, Mass Strategic Health Group as a group has put an RFP out, hired a new administrator, and that administrator is looking at providers. This just protects the town's rights, that if there's any issue that the town does not want to participate in, they can take care that way. If there is no issue, the town just keeps going. But if you don't go through this process, and secondly, ask Mass Strategic Health Group, what is the process they're going to be under Article 8 of their agreement using going forward, you don't have any input.
gotcha. So this just gives us an out if we need it?
And it also gives you an opportunity to look at all the processes that if they want to change them in advance.
Gotcha. All right.
All right, so you need a motion?
Yes, please.
All right. I move that the Acushnet Board of Selectmen affirm the initial notice of withdrawal pursuant to Article 8, Section A of the MSHG Master Agreement executed by the Town Administrator on January 16th, 2025, and that the Board of Selectmen authorize the Town Administrator to forward the final notice before February 1st, 2025, provided that MSHG has communicated the written notice process as mandated by Article 8, Section A of the MSHG Master Agreement, thus allowing the town of Acushnet to comply with the MSHG Master Agreement.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Need a cough drop after that?
Thank you.
Yeah. Shot of Jack.
Yeah. All right. To kind of jump back into what I was saying earlier about getting more people involved, I put some feelers out to get some letters of interest in from various committees and boards. And we actually had a pretty decent turnaround with people reaching out, including some committees that we don't usually think about too often. So we got an Agricultural Commission alternate, We have a finance committee letter of interest, and we have multiple conservation commission letters of interest. Just to let you know, we have 3 Concom letters of interest. We only have 2 available seats. And I believe all their letters of interest were provided in your book, so you have some history on them. First one, we have James Laycock for the Agricultural Commission as an alternate. His family's been in this town for years. I've known Jimmy for a long time. Gives me a fresh bottle of maple syrup every year. He has a big maple syrup day where he boils it down in his backyard, planting all sorts of fig trees.
It's under $50 worth.
Yes, but he's very passionate about the area where he lives and turning his family property into as close to a farm as he can get with having to work a full-time job. But I think he'd be an excellent candidate for this. It is just an alternate position, and I don't believe they meet super regularly, but I think having him as an asset on that board would be good. So I take a motion to appoint James Laycock to the Agricultural Commission as an alternate.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to jump over Concom now and just go through the FinCom one. Mr. Philip Adams has actually offered his services to multiple boards and committees in this town, but he's a very sharp person when it comes to town finance. He works in another municipality and he deals with municipal finance a lot. And Mr. Moon, I believe you've met Mr. Adams before as well.
Yeah, Phil's great. Talking about golf, I think he was probably like 13 or 14. We ended up getting partnered up, and he hustled me for I think $25 on the course.
All right.
Youngsters, so I know he's good with money.
With that, I'll take a motion to appoint Philip Adams to the Finance Committee.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And back to the Conservation Commission. Like I said, we have 2 open seats, 3 letters of interest. Every single one of these candidates has valid status. They're all extremely qualified. And I have 0 issues with any of these candidates.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm just looking at the folks here. I know Mr. Riveros, I've known him for a while, is a great person. I think he would offer some really good experience to the board, and so I'd be in favor of that appointment. And I'm also going through, I don't know the other 2 candidates, but Rebecca has gone through Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions training, has done that. And so if I had to choose, it would be those 2 candidates. But you know, I don't think you can miss out with any of them.
I actually, I believe Rebecca actually sat down in one of the conservation meetings. She sat there, talked to Mark, the rest of the committee, and she's really excited to be involved with this. You see that, Mr. Souza? Rebecca sat through one of your whole meetings, correct?
Correct. Rebecca sat through. I know that she has plans to keep moving forward. So with that being said, I know that she's trying to learn as much and get as much knowledge, and I think she will be very good for the board.
Sorry, I'm just missing one page here.
Who was, please? Finance.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say I had an extra letter in there.
Now, does Concom have like, not temperate, what's the word? Alternates at all, or?
No.
We don't have, there's no alternates, really? That's surprising
Yeah,
to me.
and I didn't, when I
Is it
looked
the
at,
planning board that has alternates?
I'm not sure, but I
Planning board's
believe
elected.
Right, okay. For some reason, I thought there was alternates on Concom.
would that have to be changed to the full structure of the board or commission to do that?
Is it-
I would ask that if you're going to create, change the structure and create alternates, you do it with the full board.
Yeah, 100%.
And confer with the town clerk.
Perfect. Yeah.
'Cause I could have sworn that we had alternates And then, oh, maybe that's the ZBA? Is that the ZBA?
ZBA has
Is that
alternates
what it
because
is?
it's a
Okay.
supermajority, so
Got
they
it,
need.
okay,
yeah.
all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would hate to say no to any of these folks. I mean, I've said who I have an interest in, but.
Yeah. Well, I would take a motion to appoint Rebecca Soika, I believe that's how it was pronounced, and I apologize if it's not, to the Conservation Commission.
All right.
Is that the motion?
Yeah, second, I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I guess I was screwing in the two-member board. And, okay. And what was the other?
Mr. Viveros,
Your motion to appoint Nelson Viveros
Yep.
to the Conservation Commission?
so moved.
I'll second that as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And if we can look into adding,
Yeah,
you know.
I think any extra help is good.
Um,
Mr. Souza?
You kind of do the same thing and expedite it to them too?
Yes, 100%.
Members, we do have a, next meeting is the 29th,
Okay,
and if not, then it'll be the February 12th meeting.
okay.
Awesome.
Sorry to interrupt Mr. Souza one more time, but is your 29th meeting a in-person meeting?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
It's for the Lake Street only though, and to regroup.
okay, so it actually might be a pretty good mean for some new members to show up to, because it's
That's
kind of
why I
slow,
mentioned it.
nice
Yep.
paced, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Kelly?
I would ask that staff communicate with Conservation, and when they reorganize, they let us know who the chair is
Yep.
fairly quickly. And because I've got some issues pending that I've been waiting for the new chair on.
Sure. Excellent. Yeah, definitely. Well, same process, Sydney, if you don't mind. Reach out to them via email, just let them know, get them over to see Pam, get the appointment letters out, and have them contact Joanne and get a schedule for the meetings, and then this way they can participate once they're sworn in.
Clyde already took care of golf, so we're good with the golf
Wow,
side already.
jamming, huh?
So, yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Good.
Excellent. All right, and once again, it's really nice to see the amount of participation with the public. It's something that I've been preaching for a long time. You can't make any changes without getting involved, so I appreciate everybody that did send in a letter. And we do keep anything on file, so if any other openings pop up and you applied, well, you send a letter of interest, you'll be at the top of the pile for next time. Be good. Next item, DPW, new hire, Jonathan Silver as a truck driver. I spoke with Kathy and Dan. They feel really good about this person. They already have CDL. They're currently a bus driver, but they're looking for more of a day of work. And Kathy and Dan both said that they seem like this would be a good fit. So I would take a motion to appoint Jonathan Silva to the DPW pending his drug test.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Selectmen announcements. Mr. Warner, anything?
I do not have anything other than when we meet, I'll talk to you offline about our February calendar.
Sure.
Okay.
And I do not have any announcements for that as well. Next scheduled meeting, would you say February 4th, Mr. Kelly?
Yes, and the board has to determine their meeting after that, because if it's the usual 2-week jump, it goes into school vacation week.
Sure. Yep. And I don't believe I'm going to be around for that, so we'll probably skip
All
away.
staycation stuff, right, Mr. Hinckley?
I don't know,
Yes.
I just show up wherever she tells me
That's
to go. All right, we did have some executive sessions, but without a full board, I don't want to dive into those. With that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Second. I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.